We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do.
And indeed, we will do it live. Friends and neighbors, welcome to a special episode of Mission Control Houston's Hockey Podcast. Special because it's the show's 20th episode. Special because it's our first live stream. And also, it is special because we do have an esteemed guest with us tonight. Jack Stanfield is not only a 1974 Houston Aeros Avco Cup champion with the WHA iteration of that franchise. But honestly, I cannot think of anyone better suited to talk about the viability of Houston as a pro hockey market. Mr. Stanfield not only played with some greats, but also became an executive with the Aeros after hanging up his skates. He's also been involved in other sporting ventures in this city, which I'll let him talk to you about. And he is an innovator in the way that we watch televised sports. More than that, though, he is a friend of Houston hockey. So, friends and neighbors, Mr. Jack Stanfield. How are you, sir?
Join the show, right?
Join the show, indeed.
The grand entrance.
Well,
Oh,
I hope I didn't get anything wrong there.
No, I've been in Houston since '72, which was the first year of the World Hockey Aeros.
So, yeah, I guess that's always an interesting question when we start talking about hockey in Houston. So what were the circumstances that brought you down here?
Well, I had started my pro career in '62, and interesting, I was part of, in those days, there were only 6 NHL teams. And so I was part of the Chicago Blackhawks farm system. And I played junior hockey in Dixie, my hometown, or close to my hometown, in Toronto, just outside of Toronto. And then you move up the ladder, and I went to St. Catharines, which is another junior level, a little bit higher. And then from there you go into the pro. In those days, there were all kinds of leagues, minor leagues, kind of like baseball is today, where you got AAA and AA, and so you had the Eastern Hockey League, you had the American Hockey League, you had the Central Hockey League, you had the Western Hockey League, you had, so there were options. So I went to training camp in Chicago. Tommy Ivan was his general manager up there. And he said, "We want you to be a Blackhawk, Jack." After about halfway through training camp, he started talking to me about having a contract and starting on my pro career. He says, "Jack, we want you to be a Blackhawk. We'll give you $500 to sign, and we'll give you $3,500 for the season." I said, well, he says, "If you make the big club, we'll give you $7,500. And so I said, "Well, but Tommy," and by that time you'd talk to scouts and stuff like that. You had an idea what the pricing would be. And I said, "I can make more money in the Eastern Hockey League than that." He said, "Well, think about it."
Okay,
So,
I was doing math in my head for inflation, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. So, okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
so he would bring me every day, he'd bring me back in. "Well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" And then finally, I left and went to Philadelphia. My first pro career was in the Eastern Hockey League. I made more than the $3,500, and I played in Philadelphia in the Eastern Hockey League with the Philadelphia Ramblers. And it was I'm 20 years old. I'm in a great city. I lived with John Brophy, who ended up being the coach of the Leafs later on. He was my roommate. He was the bad guy of the Eastern Hockey League. I got 33 goals, 34 assists in my first season. Did quite well.
Yeah.
Came back to the Blackhawks training camp. Jack, you had a great year in Philly. He said, but you need to be a Blackhawk. He says, I'll give you $1,000 to sign.
Hey, there you go.
And $4,000 to play. So I went from there to the Chicago Blackhawks farm team in St. Louis. My centerman was Phil Esposito in
Okay.
St. Louis. Yeah.
Okay.
And my right winger was a hockey player named Boom Boom Karan. And Boomer got 78 goals. Phil went up to the big club halfway through the year, never came back. And of course, a legendary player. Ended up playing with my brother and Phil, and Kenny Hodge got traded from Chicago to Boston. And that really made the Boston Bruins. But this is part of the rationale or the experience that I had. I played in St. Louis. The next year I played in Buffalo for 2 years, the Buffalo Bisons. This was a farm team of Chicago as well. I went to LA, played there. I went from LA to Dallas, played there. I went from Dallas to San Diego, played there. Went from San Diego to Rochester, played there, and up and down with Chicago. And then played 3 years in Rochester, and then got, there was one expansion, but still there were a lot of great hockey players playing at the minor league level. But the experience that I had in all of those different cities, think about it. Philly didn't have an NHL team. They do now. St. Louis didn't have an NHL team. They do now. Dallas didn't have an NHL team. LA didn't have an NHL team. Pretty much every city I played in has an NHL team now. So I think I know what it takes and what a city looks like to be an NHL team, an NHL franchise.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask if there's any particular moments or players that stood out to you in your minor, but it sounds like
I'll tell you, Willie O'Ree,
okay,
who is a well-known Bruin, but played in San Diego. I played in San Diego with him. He was the first black hockey player in the NHL, and he was an amazing athlete. Yeah, there are all kinds of players that Lenny Ronson. They're just like, there's a list of guys that should have been playing at the major league level, had the talent to play at the major league. Jerry Melnick is a centerman that played in Buffalo with me. Just all kinds of guys.
Now, every time there is a talk of expansion for the NHL, there's always some pushback from the purist that say, well, that dilutes talent every time you expand. But it seems like, just from a guy sitting on his couch watching hockey games on TV, it seems like the league always batches and the cream always rises, and the league there's more talent than there is league right now, isn't there?
I don't know that I'm as close to the minor league teams and the international players as I used to be, but there's always great talent out there. And I think part of that is the college level. The college level quality of the college level play has gone up and up and up and up. And that certainly has also helped. One of my brothers, Vic, went to BU. It went from junior hockey, instead of going to pro, went to Boston University. His first year, he was a rookie. They don't usually move the rookies up to the big club, but he ended up on the big club and they won the NCAA. And his roommate was Erozioni, the
Okay,
Olympic
yeah,
guys. So
absolutely.
and then here's a fun hockey story among a family of five of myself and four other brothers played pro. And my brother Fred won 2 Stanley Cups in Boston with the Bruins. When the Fleet Center opened, my brother Vic got selected as one of 2 college players initially inducted. I think from the Bruins, they had Bobby Orr and maybe Jerry Phil Esposito. But my brother Fred didn't get initially into the initial induction. So the phone call with the brothers was, "Hey, Fred, I thought you won 2 Stanley Cups in Boston. How come Vic's in the Hall of Fame and you're not?" But the next year he got in.
Yeah, I would imagine there was a lot of fun rivalry with that. Absolutely, sure. So, one other thing that I wanted to address, I of course, it's a Houston hockey show, so Houston emphasis on the Houston. But before we get to that, I heard a podcast from you from last year. You were on the Face Off Spot podcast, and one of the things you mentioned was that you were the player rep for a lot of the teams that you were on. Was that kind of how do I put this? Did that give you a foundation for later a career in the front office, or were they 2 totally different things?
No, I think it absolutely. It gave me a perspective on management. Mm-hmm. How management thought, how management operated, and how the league operated. Because of the exposure that we got, both in conversation and in information from the league and from the team, I think it was part of my education, and certainly helped as I got into management, and and I think played a role in my. The other thing is, when I got into the regional sports network business, having played in all the hockey leagues all over the U.S., on the West Coast, on the East Coast, I knew almost every market. I had been in every market. I had been in all the major cities. I knew what was important to that market from a team standpoint. I knew the reputation. I could talk to the people in that market, and I had a point of reference because I'd been there.
Yeah, it doesn't really register, but then when you were mentioning all the places you played, it's like, yeah, yeah, you do know all these markets, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, but did you know what you were getting into before coming to Houston?
I think the impact of and the need for expansion that the NHL was holding off on, that need, which I obviously knew as a player because I wasn't getting at the major league level. That need, I think, drove the world hockey, and I think the intriguing thing about it was a home for the established players like Bobby Howe, or the young up and coming players like Gretzky. you know,
Yeah.
so it was it was a door opener. It was really needed.
Mhm.
It answered the call, and it answered for a lot of different types of players in a lot of different circumstances, because there were some amazing hockey players in the world hockey. I mean, really quality, and probably one of the best examples. If you look at Mark Howe coming as an 18-year-old here, if you look at John Tonelli, think about that. John Tonelli came here. We drafted him as an 18-year-old. He came and played for the Aeros for 3 years. Then he went to New York to the Islanders, won 3 Stanley Cups. You talk to any of the Islander players, and they'll tell you Tonelli was part of those amazing teams and an important part of that franchise. You know, so yeah, it opened the door not just for the veteran players that had the ability, but also for the young players as well.
That's right. I forget at times when talking about the WHA that it didn't have some of the restrictions on young players at the NHL, which is why Gretzky was there and all that. Of course, my perspective, when I think of WHA, I think of Howe and I think of the Aeros, but that's right. Gretzky started there.
And there were like the contribution of players like Larry Lund. He brought a whole line. He had an amazing line. Andre Hines and Frank Hughes and Larry Lund. That line on the Aeros, which is pretty much there through the whole 6 years that the team was here. That line was a Western Hockey League line. Came out of Phoenix. It was a quality, a mix of 3, a young and medium, but just good hockey players. But they had the magic between themselves. You know, that line was amazing. I mean, they played at an NHL level and moved the whole line to our Aeros team.
Okay, I am writing down that I want to ask you about chemistry later on here, because that's an interesting point you brought up. So when you get the opportunity to play in the World Hockey Association, were you concerned about a non-traditional market?
Well, trying to think, because I'd played in Dallas.
Oh, right.
You know, and saw the energy and support there. No, I think the scariest thing about Houston was the humidity.
Oh, it's scary for me too, and I lived here all my life. So yeah.
Let me tell you, we trained, and I said this on the other podcast that I did. We trained in Minnesota. It was great. I mean, the air was clean, clear. I mean, it was fabulous. I mean, the ice was crisp, and I mean, it was a pretty easy training camp at the beginning. And Gordie was doing pretty good, like coming out of retirement from a couple of years, 3 years. He was doing well. When we came down here, stepped into the old Coliseum in September, mid-September, in the humidity, it knocked everybody down. I mean, it was crazy bad. I mean, we were dragging it. I think actually, like Denver has the advantage of altitude.
Sure.
I think actually Houston's humidity was a real plus for the Aeros over the years, because guys that came in from other different cities, and it's one of the things you don't really think about very much, but the climate all over the US, every city has its own unique elements, and that humidity was tough on players coming here.
Yeah, I would think. The analogy for Texas is whenever one of our teams has to go up north for a playoff game and play in the snow, our
No,
tries to do it.
exactly. I think we
Yeah,
just lived through that one. Yeah.
I like that. Well, yeah, we're not going to talk too much about that, but yeah, no, I understand the analogy there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, where did y'all practice?
We had an arena, or we had a rink out in on Highway 10 out in the shopping area. Trying to think of the name of the.
Did y'all practice at Memorial City?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sugarland. I
Reality.
mean, later Sugarland,
Oh, okay.
certainly. And I mean, we had different rinks, but we tried to, as much as we could, take advantage of the ice surface at the summit or in the arena where we were playing. You know.
Okay. Well, let me ask the broad question about playing with the Aeros. Obviously, the two titles with that franchise, but for those that weren't there or aware or just moved to town or whatnot, what did we miss with the WHA Aeros? However you want to define that question, what did we miss out on by not being a part of things?
I think there was a magic around the story of a father playing with his kids,
Sure.
you know, and there was more behind the scenes than people really realize. I'll give you a good example. The name Doug Harvey is a well-known name in the National Hockey League. Montreal Canadian legendary player. He went to St. Louis and almost won a Stanley Cup playing in St. Louis at the end of his career. Bill Dineen had Doug Harvey. If you look at the early pictures, Doug Harvey's in our team pictures. I don't know, you look in the history books, Doug Harvey is an Eddie Shore, you know, that kind of monumental hockey player, but he was part of Bill's staff. Here's another one that people just don't realize. Barry Fraser was our head scout all the years of the Aeros. Dineen knew that Fraser was an amazing scout. When I moved from being a player into the front office, I was the liaison to Barry Fraser. He lived in Hamilton, Ontario. He scouted all the junior hockey players, the college players, everybody else. He's the guy that found Tonelli. He's the guy that helped Bill make the decision to bring the Howes here. He's the guy that helped build our franchise. And when we folded in 78, Bill Dineen picked up the phone to Glenn Sather in Edmonton and said, Glenn, you need to bring Barry Fraser into your scouting. Barry Fraser is the guy that built the Edmonton Stanley Cup teams. Our head scout,
Okay.
the Aeros head scout, was the head scout for the Edmonton Oilers, 5 Stanley Cups. And he came because we folded here. He came to Edmonton as a result of Bill Dineen's friendship with Glenn Sather. You know, I mean, that's a history story about the contributions of this franchise.
So salt in the wound that the Aeros folded, but a championship dynasty caliber franchise with the personnel that knew how to put winning teams together and players that went on to
yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's
I
fine.
mean, it was here. We had if you look at Ruskowski, here's another one. Ruskowski. No, I don't think there's a player. There is not a player in pro hockey, in the history of pro hockey, that's been a captain for more teams than
I
Ruskowski. He was
just
our
saw that. I just saw that stat when they announced his Houston Hockey Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
I mean,
he
it's
was
odd
elite.
to think what we had here.
Yeah. Well, and Rich Preston, I mean, great hockey player. Don Laraway, unfortunately, Don passed away a few years ago, but stayed here. Don was an amazing hockey player. Our goalies, I mean, Ronnie Graham, I mean, Bill had an eye, but we also had the scouting system out there. Brian Kilray, it was another friend of Bill Dineen's, and Brian really knew junior players, and he helped us scout a lot of junior players and made recommendations to us. And so it was fun for me as a player to all of a sudden be in the middle of going through our scouting reports and trying to figure out, who we're going to draft and that kind of thing. That was really pretty good. So and Bill, I was kind of his just right-hand man, whatever he wanted me to do. But Bill was an amazing hockey guy. I'll tell you another thing, the gift. Larry Lund, Larry Hale, and Bill Dineen in 1963 went together and started the Okanagan Hockey School for junior players. They started it in 63. Today, it's the biggest international hockey school for training youngsters anywhere in the world. You look at the history of the Okanagan Hockey School.
You did say
and Bill Dineen,
okay.
Larry Hale, and Larry Lund are the guys that started it. So it's not just taking, it's giving too. I mean, a lot of the players on our team, guys like Larry Lund or Larry Hale, I mean, they were hockey gurus in a way.
Okay, so organizationally and the player base was there. What about the city? Was the city there for you? How did the city embrace y'all, or did the city embrace y'all?
The best example I can give is when we moved, when the summit was built, being 76 was the first year of the summit. And we went from downtown in the old Coliseum the first 3 years. The fourth year, we went to the summit. The Rockets went there too. We averaged 9,700 a game that first year in the summit, and the Rockets averaged 6,300.
Oh.
I mean, does that tell you something?
That it tells me something, and it's.
I mean, listen, 90. I mean, nearly 10,000 a game. Rockets were 60. I mean, the Rockets obviously built their franchise.
Sure.
I mean, and Ray Patterson did a great job, and he became a good friend of mine. And Steve Patterson, I mean, they're quality sports franchise builders. And Ray was an amazing guy. But I'm just saying the Aeros hockey team was more popular than the NBA Rockets, at that time. So
Now the summit was built with hockey in mind, wasn't it? I remember
it
reading
was
that back in
it was a good hockey building. It was also a good basketball building. Eh, I'm not sure there is a building in this city really for hockey. A hockey building has to be built up, not out. I mean, it's got to be the good hockey buildings. You're on top of like in Chicago. If you want to go to some good, I mean, Madison Square Garden. If you want to go to some good hockey buildings,
So you're referring to sight lines there. with,
yeah,
like, the whole
yeah,
building up.
yeah. It's more of an amphitheater approach.
Okay.
It's good for hockey.
Which is why the dual use thing teams are
You can walk in I can walk in a building and say that's a hockey building or it's a basketball building.
okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So you mentioned earlier playing in a lot of different places and then as a regional broadcaster and then expanding it. So you've traveled, you've been in all kinds of hockey buildings. How does Houston measure up with cities that actually have the NHL right now or are looking to get them? Where would you put?
You're not gonna. I mean, I think you're right on target. You have to have a new building here
Sure.
for hockey. I mean, and I think that's one of the challenges. Even the changes they've made downtown are not hockey friendly in a way. I think the other thing is it's almost at a point where franchises to get the revenues they need to support a franchise. When you're looking at some of the money it costs to buy a franchise now, you're going to have the kind of revenues from not just the team, but the building itself. And that means concessions, and that means parking, and that means, all of the sponsorship elements around naming rights and things like that. The funny thing was, when I was working as the assistant GM and as vice president of the Aeros, when it was at that level and I was doing all the marketing and sales, I would sit down with Ray Patterson. He would have a little jigger whiskey, and we'd sit down and tip a little bit and negotiate on who would get the Coke or who would get the beer, the Budweiser, and we divided up, and we had a good working relationship with the Rockets for a long time, and but that kind of revenue is big revenue, naming rights and soft drink rights and beer rights and all that is important to making a franchise viable.
And now teams, they want a full on strip mall outside the arena that they get everything for. So you're going to need we're going to need a big
right.
At the land somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's return to the Aeros. And you really can't talk about the Aeros without talking about the Howes. But I wanted to ask the obligatory, what was Gordie Howe like as a teammate? And I don't know why, but was there a different dynamic giving that he was on a team with his kids? Like, was there a more of a mentoring plus teammate plus dad, or was it just, there you go. What was it like being his teammate there, given his stature?
Well, I grew up in Toronto. So the television I could watch was probably the Leafs and pick up some of the American broadcasts so I could watch the Detroit team. So I grew up watching Detroit and Toronto. So I had pretty good knowledge about the Detroit teams. Gordie was he was a tough, but friendly guy. I mean, he wasn't a hard ass or anything, although he was a dirty player. He was a dirty player. You had to be careful around him, even as a teammate in practice. I mean, he would give you the butt end, with the stick. It just was in his nature. He was a competitive guy. He was incredibly strong. But I sat in the dressing room between the two kids across from Gordie. So I got a lot of, hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. What this? Hey, Dad. What, and they were curious. Particularly Mark was curious. The thing that Mark Howe had was passing skills. Some guys have that touch. He had that touch to put a pass. That's why Deneen moved him back to defense, because he had that ability to see the ice and to make that little pass that broke a team out of the zone, and that was pretty amazing. And then moving Gordie some to center, he put him in center, give him a little more room, But Gordie was sneaky. I mean, he was sneaky. I think you may have heard that story before, but we were playing in Minnesota. John Shella got, the referee was going to kick him out for cutting Shaky Walton's head. I mean, just really ripping his head. Shaky Walton came down, scored a goal, but then all of a sudden he's got blood pouring out of his head, and they turned to Shella and they were going to kick Shella. And Shella's going, not me. I didn't touch him. I was doing the broadcast with True Piano at the time. We had the advantage of replay. I said, let's go back and take another look at that. Nobody saw it. Shaky Walton's going past Shella. Shella's got his stick around and he lifts it, but a big arm comes out with a stick. The point of the blade of a stick whacks Walton in the head. It's Gordie. Nobody saw him. Honest to God, he whacked him. He cut him. He maybe gave him 20 stitches and he was bleeding, but even the refs didn't see it. He was sneaky.
Okay.
He when we came here and we were coming from training camp, he did that to me. He gave me the butt end, and I turned around and cross-checked him, knocked him into the boards. He went out cold. Gordie Howe, out cold. I thought I was out of here, gone.
Did you earn respect or did you earn a problem?
No, he would laugh about it. But he was mean. Like he would take my 5-year-old son, Shane. He did this to him one day. He just and he would do this with kids, Gordie. He thought it was funny, but he would put his hands. The kid would be standing in front of him. He put his hands on their ears, on the side of their head, and pick them up.
Okay.
By the head.
Sure.
I mean, pick them up. How you doing, Shane? Tears coming down their eyes, because, I mean, you'd think he would hurt them, but I don't know. He had a mean streak in him, but he had a sense of humor too.
Okay. Well, I got a question from chat about a legend here. Scott from Raptor Sports and Movies is asking, did he put lead in his gloves to help with fights? I've seen that rumor about others. Was that a thing?
It may have been with some guys. In fact, what a lot of guys in those days, you wouldn't, you would you would cut holes in your glove so you could get a better grip on your stick. You
Okay.
didn't have, and you could grab guys. In other words, the cover of your glove would look like your hand was there, but you could be holding on to somebody.
Oh, okay.
And because of the glove was a camouflage really for those kinds of tricks.
Okay.
Gordie, okay, give me the question again, because there was this.
Absolutely. It was, did Gordie really put lead in his gloves?
No, I don't know. Not that I ever saw. I never saw that. But again, they would. Gordie was Al Kaline, or Gordie was just a physical. Bobby Hall was another one. They were physically. They didn't. I don't think they worked out. I think they just grew that way.
Okay.
They're naturally gifted strength. I mean, they just had bodies, and Gordie had an amazing body. I mean, he played till he's 52. I mean, he played in the NHL when he was like 50.
Oh my
50
God.
years old.
I'm 52 and I'm sitting here trying.
No, playing in the NHL. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's
I mean, can you imagine just going to training camp at that age?
yeah.
He had his body was built for hockey because his shoulders weren't square. They were sloped. His arms just hung.
Okay.
So he had a really gifted body for the game.
Okay. Well, I want to get back to the team as a whole, but I have another question from chat here. This is from Joe Smith, where he says that Gordie was and still is the gold standard for what we call a power forward. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Crosby's another guy. Plays in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
I mean, he's a gifted hockey player, and but yeah, Gordie had good hands, good instinct, sense of where he needed to be, and he could pass the puck too. I mean, he scored a lot of goals, but he could pass the puck nicely. I think Mark got the passing bug from Gordie. I don't think people understand moving the puck to the other guy is a really important part of hockey. Making sure that when you pass the puck, you put it in the right position. I mean, that's when I watch the guys now with the sticks they have. They're different. Mm-hmm. The puck comes off the new fibers and the new sticks. The puck jumps off those sticks. I watch and I say, oh, gee, I wish I had that. I used to go, I think all of us in hockey probably recognize Glenn Hall. He just passed away a couple of weeks ago. The Goalie in Chicago. Glenn was an amazing hockey player, but we talk about sticks. When I'd get called up, you'd be able to get your hands on some what I would call quality sticks, because the guys in the NHL got a different brand of stick than the guys at the minor leagues. just
Okay.
better quality, better made, better picked, lighter, stiffer. Billy Hay had an amazing stick. When I'd get called up, I'd grab a half a dozen of his sticks. I was so excited, and I'd get into out on practice, and I'd be zapping the puck in the top corners, and Glenn Hall would be looking at me like, "Oh, Jack, settle down, relax, don't get so," and I think, but I think merchandise, quality of sticks and stuff like that is an important part about the quality of the game today.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
It's like
Okay.
golf clubs. It's like golf clubs. The transition in golf clubs, same thing.
Yeah, but you can put those fancy golf clubs in my hands, and I'm still, I'm
Let's
still
go.
not.
Let's go. Maybe I didn't answer the question that.
I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think absolutely. So, let's see here. Yes, let's get back to happier topics and the team as a whole. What was the cup celebration like after 74, after over a decade since the Oilers won the AFL? So it's been a while since the city had a championship. What was that celebration like for y'all?
Well, I have a video. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll share it. I'll share it with you. But of what it was like in the dressing room. But I have a cute story that talks about celebration. Um, One of my best friends that I met in a celebration after we won that first championship, there was a guy, Jimmy Lean, in Houston, who was a real hockey fan, and he threw a party, brought all the players to his house, and put a bottle of Crown Royal on every table, and said, "Welcome, everybody, enjoy yourselves." Had a party outside, big band, a swimming pool, and all this. And I'm sitting there. This is 74, and I'm sitting there saying, "That's a pretty good band." And I'm looking, and what's the name of this band? Well, I think it's let's see, what's that guy out of Austin that's been around for so long?
You're asking me to guess. I don't have one. So
I'll leave it. Willie Nelson. It was Willie Nelson.
okay.
At the guy's house party.
Is that all? Okay.
So that was good.
Okay.
That was a good celebration. Yeah.
I would imagine.
I think everybody ended up in the swimming pool on that one.
So,
but we had the team was very close. That team, good guys and good families, and we were all very close, and so we had numerous ways of getting together and being happy about bringing and it wasn't just that year, the next year too. So that was good.
So after that 74 Cup, you wound up transitioning to the front office. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier that your role was Deneen's right hand.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I know eventually you wind up getting into broadcast.
Yeah. Jim Smith was the president of the club in the first 3 years. First 4 years, I guess, 3 years, I guess. He was a bright young attorney from Dayton, Ohio, that came down here to figure out whether there was a chance to have the franchise here, because Dayton got the bid, and Paul Deneau was the owner, and he sent this young attorney down here, and Jim is the one that set it up and hired Deneen. And he was a brilliant young man. Later on, after he left here, he went to the West Coast. He ran the Los Alamitos track in California. And he was the one that got off-track wagering approved by the California legislature. And so it was a long story there. But Jim's the one that came and pulled the whole franchise together, and I think built staff and got people, knew how to get people in the city, and really laid the groundwork for this franchise.
Well, okay. So I'm wondering if this was your doing, because I went online and I was looking for video of the 74 Cup run, and I didn't find much, but I can find video for the year after, and I'm wondering if that was you. Was it mostly your doing that gets the Aeros on television and radio?
It was the when the team hired me, and I think it was because I was a player rep that I had more. I think that was part of it, because I had more dealings with Jim Smith, and so he knew, and Foxy knew that I was representing the players, and so, you know, I built a relationship, and then when I decided to retire, they just said to me, "Come on," and you know, now it's a little different than that, because I had decided I was going to go to Basel and play in Switzerland, and I went to Basel in the late summer. I had got some kind of virus during the summer, and I'd gone from like 183 to about 168 pounds, and was hanging. But I went to Basel because I'd signed an agreement to go there in the Swiss league. And when I got there, played 5 games, and I could hardly move. I came back, I called the team and said, "Is the offer still there?" And they said yes. So we flew, my family and I, back to Houston. I walked in the dressing room and said, Al Knoll was our team doctor. I said, "Al, I don't know, he says, you got diabetes." He didn't send me anywhere. He just says, "You got diabetes. I can tell by looking at you." And so then they put me on insulin. I've been a diabetic since 1974, 50 years now, taking needles, and I take insulin every day. My pancreas stopped working, you know.
That's a hell of a way to find out.
But Jim said to me, "I want you to go in the broadcast booth, because there was a cable system in Pasadena. There was no cable in Houston, but there was a cable system in Pasadena was carrying the games, taping and putting them on. And the guy running that system in Pasadena, Dick Barron, became a good friend of mine. He and I are the ones that started HSE, Home Sports Entertainment. It was through that relationship. Now, okay, I started doing broadcasting. At the end of that year, it looked like we were gonna win the cup again.
Mm-hmm.
I said to Jim, we got to televise these games. If we win again, we got to televise these games. He says, well, he says, see if you can get some sponsors. I put a package together. I went out and started selling sponsorships. I sold enough to cover the cost. We did a deal with K-Dog. It was the name of the TV
Oh, the
station.
radio. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
K-Dog. It was a let's see, Leroy Gloger. Anyway, Leroy Melcher. He had a TV station. It was a Fox station. It's Fox now. But that station, I went to him and he said, okay, if you cover the cost, we'll put it on. We went to Quebec. We went to win the cup and we televised it back here. It was great. It really was. But it got me into doing packaging and selling and sponsorships, and then I just went on from there.
Right. Okay. But you were in the booth there for a bit, and then
Yeah, I was doing the booth. Plus, I was the one doing the marketing. And then that's why the soccer club hired me. Because I was doing marketing sales, and like when we brought the soccer team in '79 to Houston, it was in the Astrodome. I'm the one that did the bumper sticker, "Kick in the Astrodome." It's supposed to be famous, I think now.
I hadn't heard it, but
Yeah.
all right. I like that. So a little bit more about the WHA.
Yeah.
I saw a book published like 20 years ago, we'll say, and it was called The Rebel League, about the WHA. Did you and other WHA players and front office types, did y'all feel like you were part of something that was changing pro hockey? That was, given that the NHL was it, that y'all were bringing that competition, were y'all part of something bigger, or was it just, we're playing
we
hockey,
knew.
we don't care how?
No, we knew. We knew.
Okay.
We knew. When you had guys like Bobby Hull, there's a list of players that were pretty amazing hockey players that were still in their best years, willing to. I think they knew it was something special that was going to happen, and there were lots of good markets, lots of cities that the NHL was playing the same game that Gary's playing now, Bettman. Play this cat and mouse game to get a franchise.
Yeah.
He's good at it, and he was playing it harder than he maybe is now. But so there were lots of great markets, and second teams too that did pretty well and playing in the same markets as the NHL teams.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there was some overlap.
There were, yeah.
That's right. Okay.
But look, Winnipeg is, there's some great markets. Yeah.
Sure. Well, we have to get to it eventually. The team folds in '78. The Aeros are the only team that won an Avco Cup that didn't make the NHL merger. How close did we get to?
We I think I mentioned this to you before. Kenneth Snitzer, by this time I was vice president of the club, and the president of the club and I talked about the possibility of, Kenneth said to me, he called me and said, Jack, if you can raise 5,000 season tickets, if you can get 5,000 season tickets, I think I can do a deal with Jack Vickers in Denver, because we've already talked about it, he said, to move the Denver franchise to Houston. And he said, go and see if you can get a commitment to 5,000 season tickets. So we did a whole marketing campaign, TV commercials, and, you know, put some money into it and sent out flyers and stuff like that. We got 5,000. We were still in the World Hockey. We had then, now that we had the commitment, well, we had 4,987 is what we had, and we were still moving. But we were going to walk past 5,000. But physically, we had to make the decision that to leave the WHA. That's what Kenneth said. We're leaving the WHA. We're going to get NHL. Okay. We got on a late night phone call on a maybe a Sunday night, because it was a Monday press conference. We were going to announce we were bringing an NHL team here. We're on a call with all the owners of the World Hockey. We're telling them we're going to leave and we're going to get an NHL. We're hanging up. Somebody on the line says, wait a minute, thinking we'd left. And he says, they don't have a deal. Vickers is not going to do a deal. So now we've already left the league. we get a hold of Snitzer in the middle of the night. We chase him down. He gets a hold of Vickers early in the next morning. And Vickers says, no, I'm going to keep the team in Denver. So he walks away. He walked away from the deal he had with Snitzer. Now, the irony of this whole thing, you know where that franchise went? New Jersey Devils.
They're the Devils now. Yeah.
They're the Devils. And John McMullen, later on, became my boss because he was the owner of HS. He was one of the key owners of Home Sports Entertainment. The Aeros they were partners of ours. So McMullen, John, and I, we had that conversation. He says, "Yeah." He says, I talked to Vickers, and Vickers said, "Give me one more year, and then I'll bring." So and he brought. But anyway,
okay.
That's how close we were. But because we didn't stay in the WHA, we didn't get in through that merger.
Once you left, you couldn't go back to the WHA.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Well, that was really we might have been able to, because they knew it was a good franchise, and it helped them. But Kenneth didn't. He was our owner, and that was really his decision.
Was the writing on the wall for the league at that point, and y'all kind of knew it was?
No. The league was still. It was doing fine. The irony is our best players went to Winnipeg, and they won the next year. We sent the nucleus. That's where Preston went. That's where Rich went. About 4 or 5 of our guys went to Winnipeg, and they won the championship the next year.
So what was the impetus for wanting to switch leagues in the first place then?
It was Kenneth's, our owner's, personal belief that you had to get into the National Hockey League, and he thought he had an agreement to do that.
No, he was probably right. I mean, the NHL's still around, so
Yeah.
okay.
But it is ironic that we're sitting here without not being in the NHL. You know,
And had we stayed in the WHA, you think Houston would have been included?
absolutely. I mean, we had as good an attendance as anywhere. We were one of the top markets in the U.S. So the NHL's not. I mean, the NHL wants Houston, but they want somebody to pay a price.
Yeah, they ain't acting like they. Yeah, the $2 billion price tag is interesting, especially considering that Pittsburgh sold for less recently. But okay, I get it. They're negotiating in public. It's aggravating to
Yeah.
watch this unfold, and also the fear
You-
that
you-
oh no, something's going to happen again. So
I mean, you still have the issue of a building. You gotta have a building. Yeah.
and
And I think that's it's addressable, but it's it's a challenge, but it's possible. Yeah.
well, the Aeros leave, and it takes 16 years for pro hockey to come back in Houston via the International League. Did it surprise you that it took that long for us to get another hockey team?
Yeah, it did. Because it was a proven hockey town.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and it still had some facilities that could work. I mean, even when the team was downtown, it was doing okay. You know, I mean, it was a minor league team, but it was still drawing good crowds. And yeah, this is a hockey town. I mean, I think the rodeo group and the transplants from other. I mean, it's a good hockey town. Like I said, I've been in good hockey towns. I know a good hockey town. This is not just ordinary. It's very good. And I think just the numbers that the franchise put up when it was here. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't argue with you. Like I see the t-shirts that say Houston's a hockey town, and I have one, and I'm like, well, it could be. I want it to be, but no, you were there. You saw it. Yes, we were absolutely a hockey town. I got a question from chat here from Moss. I hope I'm pronouncing Moss's name right. It's a longer one, but he says, when the IHL Aeros started in 1994, I never heard a thing about them purchasing the WHA Aeros history. And true, it took a while. When the Aeros left to Iowa in 2013, they took the two WHA banners with them. And maybe is there a way to get those banners back if we do get an NHL team one day? Good question there for Moss there. How would we get our history back? Is that
I think,
possible? Is that a thing?
yeah. I imagine you could. Yeah, I mean, I think whoever's got their hands on that now, I think you could. I think that they would just see and understand the responsibility that kind of stuff needs to come home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if not, there are lots of memorabilia around that represent that time, and can be properly used to represent the history. And just like when we celebrated the 50-year thing, we were able to get the cup, the trophy back here, and parade it around and show everybody. So I think the those kinds of things will work their way back here if we get a franchise.
Once hoping, yeah. I saw.
I mean, I was thinking about the Aeros and the IHL and the stuff, the material that was used there for that Aeros franchise has its own unique
Mhm.
style and look and feel, and it has it's a heritage part of it too. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
It took a while, but eventually they did put up those WHA banners and reference those WHA colors and all that. And speaking again of the WHA arrows, I saw a video when I was looking for the 74 cup run, and I saw this one video was maybe half an hour long, and I'm watching this thing and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of footage I haven't seen before. There's a lot of photographs I haven't seen before. And wow, for a YouTube video, this is really well produced. And then at the end of the video, credits roll and it says executive producer Jack Stanfield. So where with your broadcasting and all that experience, did you kind of become the de facto video historian of that era?
Yeah, actually, all that footage I have rights to.
You personally have rights to.
Yeah, the
Wow.
team when the team folded, um, I took all the old. I have a stockpile of 2-inch tapes and 1-inch tapes and some stuff, but it's pretty much decayed. But could be, I'm sure, somewhat revived. A lot of that footage that was online, people have taken because I originally sent and gave those rights to the WHA Hall. Not I retained my rights, but I gave them the rights, and the WHA Hall of Fame produced all kinds of uh, videos and clips and storylines and stuff, and I was part of getting that started, and the heritage of it has shown up out there in Etherland because it's just the way the world is now. But I've tried to. I don't care. I mean, I think it's okay that it's out there and it's being seen, and some of it's amazing stuff. But it's all footage that I own.
Okay. Good to know. So I guess you were on the ground floor of that regional sports network thing. And now it's like every team has one, even though you started this before 24-hour sports channels were a thing. Was there some pushback or some skepticism with the idea that people wanted to watch sports highlights all day?
I think our feeling, and again, it goes back to the friend I made when I first started broadcasting, who was doing the cable in Pasadena. He Gulf Coast Cable was the largest cable franchise given in this city, and Dick Barron was hired to run that cable system. He was the guy from Pasadena. He was the cable guy from Pasadena and was doing all the Aeros games.
Okay.
And he hired me to start to develop his sports game plan. He and I got together and we put that plan together, and I had talked to the Rockets and I talked to the Astros, and we were going to do deals. And then all of a sudden, Warner bought Gulf Coast Cable. So now I'm sitting there and we've got plans in the waiting, and all of a sudden we have a new owner. So I don't know whether you sports fans out there remember Allie Sherman. You know that name?
Oh, the name is like
New York Giants football
Okay.
coach,
Okay.
ESPN ESPN commentator. He in the early days, he would do guest stuff on ESPN. He was the head of Warner Amex in New York of all their sports development stuff. And I got on the phone when Warner bought us, and he said, Jack, write up a game plan. He says, tell me what you think. So I did this game plan about why regional local sports made sense and why and I sent it to him. I mean, I still have it. And he said, call me back. He said, Jack, you are right on the number. He says, this is so good. We're going to launch in Houston, Dallas, and Pittsburgh channels. So we launched in 3 months. We had, well, Houston and Dallas were together. We overlaid NBA teams up there. You know, you couldn't show them down here. But Houston and Dallas was HSE, Home Sports Entertainment. And then Pittsburgh, we did Pittsburgh. And within 3 months, we had 3 regional networks up and operating. It was crazy. Then we went from there, we got invited to go to Florida to make a presentation. And we won that presentation and started Sunshine Network. Then we went and did a deal with Turner as our partner in Atlanta, and we did Sports South. Then we went to Denver and we did Prime Sports, Rocky Mountain, and we merged with Prime Ticket. And Bill Daniels in LA had started a Prime Ticket network, and that's how we got Prime Sports. We went from Home Sports to Prime Sports. And when we did Prime Sports, we got all the regional networks in the US into a co-op, and we collectively would exchange programming and basically built, you know, the cable franchises, the sports cable franchises all over the US. Yeah.
So I was going to ask, what are you most proud of with your broadcast? But I mean, you just built the whole freaking infrastructure there.
Well, that wasn't the end of the story.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, Bill Daniels in California had done a Spanish language called La Cadena Deportiva. He did a Spanish language version of Prime Ticket. So he had because he had all the Spanish speaking in California, and he had the games, the baseball games and that stuff. So I said to Bill, because he then, when we merged with Prime Ticket, we brought Prime Ticket into the fold, and Bill owned Prime Ticket, so he became a partner, you know, with Warner, and then John Malone out of Denver, Liberty Media became a partner, and then Fox became a partner. So, but collectively, I said to Bill Daniels, I said, Bill, you have a Spanish language, you're doing Spanish language and all that. We need to go to Latin America. We need to take, if you're putting language on all this stuff, we might as well take it to Latin America. So that put us in
soccer connections.
Yeah, yeah. So then we went Prime Deportiva in Latin America. That was our first venture in the international. Then we formed Fox international, and we went to, well, I had already gone. I went prime in Asia out of Hong Kong. We went prime sports all over Asia. Then we went to Australia. And when we went to Australia, we were walking into Murdoch's backyard. He didn't like it.
Oh,
He wasn't. He wasn't.
set up down
He
there.
wasn't our partner at that time. He eventually became our partner, but we went in his backyard before.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was an adventure.
Okay. Well, let me ask a couple of current questions. And Jack, you've been very gracious with your time here. The Olympics are coming up in a few weeks. And they've confirmed it. We're going. The arena's not going to be ready, but we're going to play. We're going to play it anyway. You've no doubt seen the video from the Olympic arena. Just from someone with your expertise, how does something like that happen? How are there no safeguards in place and checks to ensure that the Olympic site is going to be grand like the Olympics should be?
Yeah. Well, I think the challenge too is the climate.
Oh, really?
You know,
Okay.
I mean, no, I mean the political climate, not the weather, not the weather. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's how something like this happens.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
understood. Well, do you have
I
a
mean,
prediction? Is Team Canada going to steamroll all of the field, or is it closer than what I'm thinking here?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to sort out what the hell's going on.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have a good read.
Okay. Well, earlier, and it's not showing on camera, but earlier I said I was writing down a note to ask you about team chemistry because the U.S. team got formed and two of the top American scorers are left off the team. And the rationale for that was we're looking for team chemistry. And in my mind, and mind you, I'm just a fat guy sitting on the couch watching hockey, but in my mind, it's like, well, shouldn't you build the team around the chemistry for the guys who put the puck in the net? Do you have any thoughts about?
Sometimes the international game is a different game, and some players do fit that and some don't. So I'm not sure. Well, I'll give you a good example. When we were in the playoffs, the first championship, we were in I think it was the second series that we were in. And earlier in the year, I wasn't playing that much. Deneen sent me down to the farm team for 3 games a weekend, and I got 6 goals in 3 games. And he says, "Come on back.
You clearly want to come back up." All
right.
Yeah.
Sure. So anyway, and I got to play some more. We had a good team, and we had 4 lines. And we were playing 3 lines, and sometimes you'd get to play a little bit if you were on the 4th line. And we were playing a series against Chicago, I think it was. And we were matching lines with them, trying to put our certain guys against certain guys and stuff like that. And we came in, I think it was the second game, first period, and said, I think I said to Bill, we're so much better than they are. I mean, just like I sort of hinted, maybe we shouldn't be matching lines. We should just, we got a better team. And so he put 4 lines out there. He changed lines. He didn't match anybody. We just ran over him. And we played the rest of the playoffs that way. We just kept rolling guys out. So and we had the chemistry of confidence within the group and stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't about the all-stars in that situation. It was about a team. So I'm not sure. I think you make a good point, but sometimes it's the general collective capability that needs to show up.
Okay. All right. Well, since we're talking about good teams here, I'll just ask for your little over mid-season prediction. Do you have a prediction for the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't watch as many games as I used to, and I'm a Pittsburgh fan.
Okay.
I'm a Pittsburgh guy. I like Pittsburgh because I'm a Crosby guy, because Crosby plays hockey the way I think it should be played. He's that kind of player. I think there's still some good teams. I think Toronto.
Yeah. You think they're gonna turn things around?
I think they might.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well,
and I come from Toronto, so.
Yeah, you did mention that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, just let's start to wrap with talking about us here, specifically this city. It's been 13 years since the Aeros left. If what the pundits say about Houston getting another team is true, it probably won't be for another 4 or 5 years. We need an arena. We need practice facilities. The big part is we need a rich guy with $2 billion worth of disposable cash. Because I'm a guy who broadcasts on YouTube about hockey and social media and all that. You kind of get a sense of the futility of the lay hockey fan in Houston. Is there anything at all that the average Joe or group of average Joe Houstonians can do to swing the pendulum towards more likely than not that Houston can get a team? Or is there anything we could do sans pulling our money together, $2 billion worth to give to Gary Bettman? What can we individually or even collectively as a hockey community do?
Yeah, I think Lance and his group have been working hard to build the recognition that this is a hockey town, and the annual gets-togethers that have been organized have been good representation of how people, even though they don't have a team here, still care. I think you just got to keep working at it from any and every way you can. Just like this, having a podcast talking about hockey is important. I hope there's some people out there that care about hockey and can show up and have their voice heard. I think the Sports Authority is an important part of it. They have to recognize that it's in the best interest of the city to have a hockey franchise and to be supportive of that. Any and every way you can. you know.
All right.
I think
Works for me.
go and see a Dallas game, but say you're from Houston, you know.
Oh, I do. I'm obnoxious about it. So Lance's
Let 'em
group
know.
that you mentioned, that's the Hockey Day in Houston and the Houston Hockey Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
we're going to see you at those again this year.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you will.
Fantastic. And this is our plea for viewers, either live or when it gets onto YouTube and all that. Show out, give the local media something to talk about.
Yeah.
So there are, if we believe Bettman, there's multiple Houston groups looking to land a team. We can surmise that one of those is Fertitta if he can get one on the cheap, which he can't. So, and the other one being Dan Freakin, and who knows if there are any other groups. Has anyone reached out to you for your expertise, given your knowledge of this area and your experience in the hockey world and broadcast?
I've had some conversations with a variety of folks. It's I think it's right to reflect that there are people beyond the ones that you mentioned that are and have been seriously trying to find a way to have a hockey team here. Yeah, there are people that I know. I mean, one of the things that I did early on was since when we started the regional networks all over the US, we had a boatload of NHL games up on satellites. So I went to Gary and the NHL, and we did a deal, Satellite Sports Network Group, and we packaged all. It was the first national league package that was sold collectively. That was done in 1994, way before they have the NHL channel or the NBA. Same with the NBA. We did that too, because we had all these games. We had them all, they're all on satellite. So we sold them as a package. And so I'm proud of what we've done to try to support hockey coming here. I think what you're doing and everything Lance is doing and hopefully what the Sports Authority will do to help support hockey, the prospects for hockey, the Rockets. I mean, I think the building, if they had a hockey team in there too, would be that much more activity, that much more business, that much more revenue. Does the economics work? Hard to say, because that's a challenge. The cost of franchises now, to support that franchise, you got to have a lot of revenue. And where do you get it? So
yeah, well, sounds like with real estate is the new norm for
real estate's important. Yeah.
Well, Jack, if you have anything else you'd like to add, I have one more question I want to ask you, but is there anything else that we may have overlooked in our conversation?
Well, I think I hope there's some people out there that are doing everything they can. Let's cheer them on, like let's say how much we care about it, which we do. Obviously, this podcast is for that purpose. Try to gin up and reflect all the root hockey base that's here. The good thing about this city is, and I can tell you, packaging and selling and getting people excited about hockey isn't difficult. It's not tough.
I fell in love on a scrimmage. Yeah.
It's a great game. It's one of the best, and it's perfect city to have. This city deserves to have an NHL franchise.
Well, Jack, you're basically answering my last question before I have a chance to ask it. But I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
Because you've been a friend to hockey in Houston. You've demonstrated your interest in bringing pro hockey back here. The Howes have as well with their foundation.
Yeah, right,
and,
right.
We've had former players for both versions of the Aeros talk about their interest in bringing hockey back to here. I would imagine pro athletes that go from town to town, they kind of move on from a city once they're done with it oftentimes. So what is it about this town that has you so invested and has other former players here invested in us having a team to call our own here?
I think, for me, it was a transition from one layer to a next layer to the next layer to the next layer. It was kind of friendships that I fell into and developed over the years. The guys at the rodeo. Believe it or not, in 1980, when we, or 80, I guess it was early 80s, 81 or 82, when Gulf Coast Cable, when we didn't have a sports channel, I put a cowboy hat on, I put my boots on, and went out and did a rodeo show. It was a daily rodeo show when the rodeo was on. Here's a hockey player showing up with a hat on, because it's an energetic city with lots of magic here. It's a city that can do, and it's a really good hockey city, because that's kind of like the sport itself. It has that. It's like a miracle on ice, I mean, the Olympic story. It's the game is so compatible with the mindset of this city. People need to see that. The game gave me so much. It led me to where, all the adventures that I got involved in, but it was where it started. So I owe a lot to the game of hockey. It has the potential to have real impact on this city, bring real excitement to this city. We just have to get it. We just have to talk it up. Let's talk it up out there. Let's spread the word.
I tell my listeners is wave the flag. Just make sure everyone knows you're a hockey fan.
Exactly. Wave the flag. Yeah.
Well, Jack, I cannot overstate my gratitude for how gracious you've been and spending time with me. And guys in chat, I want to make clear that when we first reached out to Jack about talking tonight, it's like, all right, well, when and how long? And he's like, whenever, however you want to do it, whenever works. And Jack, you've been so great. And I even asked him, it's like, all right, well, let me know if you're ready to call. And we've been talking. It's been an hour 43. So thank you so much, Mr. Jack Stanfield, for your time.
Pleasure.
And there's lots of HTX, the puck drops here events. And if we don't see you at one of those, we'll definitely see you at Hockey Day.
Okay.
So thank you very much, sir.
Great. Thanks.
You have
Thanks,
a good night.
Bye.
Thank you. All right. So how about that? Well, I got like the equivalent of what I normally do for an episode here, but it's like, man, that was how cool was that, right? And how great was he? And some of that information with the WHA Aeros. But with that, we'll call it here, and all this other stuff I got will wait, because it just needs some time to process, right? And so yeah, no, I hope you enjoyed that. Oh yes, thank you, Scott. That one needs to pop up here. There you go. Go Houston hockey. Hell yeah, go Houston hockey. And y'all are a part of it. So as you know, I normally end my episodes with what did we learn today? And I think we need a list, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that we learned. But heartbreaking how close we came, right? So all right, with that, friends and neighbors, remember that you wave the flag. Man, Jack is right. Make sure everyone knows that you're into hockey and how cool it is, and spread the word. I do want to make sure if you got kid hockey players, being a teacher and a hockey fan, this is my wheelhouse right here. Make sure they are submitting for the hockey players in business slapshot scholarship. Make sure that you are joining us for UH versus Rice this Friday night. If you're like, yeah, but I don't want to go by myself. I can't get my wife to go with me or anything. Well, I'll be there. And actually, the wife said she's going to come with me to this thing because it's at Bellerive. So join us at UH versus Rice at Bellerive, 7 o'clock. Wave the flag, spread the word. We out.